us. But as we know, ours seems to start early, and then people start getting, the all the interaction going on stage, and all that fun
Hayden
stuff.
waving to himself.
So yeah, Hayden waving. We look at bald spots and all that kind of fun stuff. So, anyways, so you just needed new tires on your truck. Is that what you needed? Is that all?
Because after I blew the brakes in the Jeep when I was plowing, then I went and got the truck. I was plowing with it. I knew I needed them anyway, but I just thought I could get through for a little while longer.
Gotcha.
But I was using that blade and I just sliding when I try to stop with it too. So I said, okay, well, I better get some traction on. That's why that parking lot didn't get finished and you didn't get plowed out.
Oh, is that why?
You plowed your driveway too?
Nope, I didn't.
That's it.
Gotcha.
One thing he plows mine, I'm an old lady.
Nobody's plowing your. Does Steve Does he use his big truck?
No, the big truck can't fit back there to plow. So actually his boss comes in and plows with the pickup truck.
Cool.
He should put the plow in his Mini Cooper.
Okay, so it looks like we're live, and hey, welcome everybody. And if you're watching with us here today, thanks for joining us. This is our first experience on doing a podcast and giving a conversation. We're calling it a conversation. We were going to call it a round table, but now it's a square table, rectangle. And but this is just an opportunity for us to be able to have a conversation about what's going on in the church, what's going on in our culture. And so on Wednesday mornings, we're hoping to do this and be a part of, you can be a part of this conversation. So a couple of things. We've got Hayden, we've got Jim, and we've got Beth here with us today. And so hopefully you're going to be able to hear us. So you're going to see me with the headphones on. I just want to make sure that you can actually hear people. And so that's the whole point of that. But the point of this is to have a great conversation and to build connection with people in our community. And so we would love for you to be a part of it. If you have a question that you want to be a part of this conversation, if you have our cell phones, you can text us and we'll do our best to answer those questions and go for it. So anyways, everybody say good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So we're all here. So I want to, yeah, you have
Good morning.
You have to use the mic.
Can you hear me now?
So anyways, okay. Well, it looks like we have some people that are watching and enjoying the experience with us. So bear with us as we begin this process of something very new. So listen, I want to talk about connection. And in this age of COVID and separation and distancing and all that kind of stuff, I know the scriptures say, and I have to get my readers on, so most of you do not see me with readers on, because I use a
But
TV.
we do all the time.
Because I use a TV that is absolutely huge letters, so I don't have to worry about it. But in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, this is what the writer says. He says, let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. So as we see the return of the Lord, the writer is telling us that we need to be encouraged to gather together, to not give up meeting together. So I want to know what you guys think about that. We've got, he can't hear. Who can't hear? Keith, you got to turn on your mic. So here, Jim, why don't you start? Tell us what you think about people meeting together. How important is it to meet together? Because some people are not meeting together.
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, obviously, number one is a command from God's Word. And especially if you continue on with that scripture, what you read there, Pastor Rustin, was, and so much more in the time of the day approaches. So it's even more important that we're sharing with one another and gathering together as believers to stay firm in the foundation of what Jesus Christ has got to offer us. Because of the fact, when you look at what's happening in the world at this moment, we're all becoming depressed, we're all becoming angered, we're all becoming, what we all we hear and see is the things that the world's feeding us. So the question is, are we equaling that out to being fed with God's Word? And where better to get that God's Word is when you have fellowship with one another.
Okay, sorry, I was listening here.
So Rustin doesn't pay attention to anything I was saying.
Let me ask you a question and then not pay attention to the answer.
This is
A
our normal
typical day.
conversations, okay?
So that's, sorry, Keith says he couldn't hear it. I'm like, how come I can hear?
So-
and I'm waiting for you to talk on Facebook because I'm not hearing you yet.
Oh.
So anyway, so I don't know. What do you have to say about that, Hayden?
I mean, yeah, I agree with what Jim said, especially because he pointed out that part in verse 25 versus as you see the day approaching, like, especially with your current sermon series, we've been seeing a lot. I mean, a lot of the signs of the end times, and like with the youth group, I actually just went through a lesson series a month or two ago called From Here to There, where we talk about like the walk of our or the journey of our walk with Christ. And one of the weeks that I did was don't try to walk alone. Are we getting anything?
I think so.
Hang on.
I don't know.
Okay.
She's trying to show me something.
Keith
And-
says the volume is very low.
okay, so I'm gonna go turn up the volume a little bit more.
Okay. So anyway, so one of the lessons that I did was, don't walk alone. Like, surround yourself with people. I think that, I think you guys know me pretty well to say that I'm an introvert. I like my profession forces me to be an extrovert sometimes, but deep down I'm an introvert. So, there's no better time than when I'm just like curled up in my basement alone watching a movie. But I think what it all comes down to is every person needs human interaction of some kind. Like, on some scale, like I wouldn't be able to sit in my basement all the time and watch movies. Like I do need basic human interaction. I think that's the way that humans are wired. And so when we're away from other people for long periods of time and social distancing and just kind of living our lives away, not that it's bad if you want to not come to church, that's your choice, and we're going to respect that. But I think that if you're not getting your quality time with other people, then you're not really doing yourself any justice, and you're causing that anxiety and that depression and that and everything that you just talked about. So
Yeah, they want you to hold your mic up closer to him.
Hello.
So maybe that'll help. So Beth, what do you think about this? Because I know that you've been a little bit more cautious than I think maybe the rest of us, and you stopped there for a period of time just because during the holidays. So why did that happen for you?
Well, for me, I have some family members that are more cautious than some other people are about the COVID and about catching COVID and social distancing and that kind of thing. I wanted to be able to interact with my family, and I wanted to keep myself safe to be able to do that. So I chose to take a period of time to social distance from everything except for work. And so I watched church on time or online, and we limited our access to grocery stores. We just went to work and then came back home and stayed home. That was difficult because I think we as a people are created to fellowship with one another. And so missing that fellowship was very difficult. And I had to keep my eye on the end prize, so to speak, to be able to continue doing it. But certainly through the Christmas season, it was very difficult not being at church. I enjoyed the opportunity to have online church, but for me, it's not the same as being in the building, hearing the sound of the worship songs surrounding me, and being with other people.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for sitting in your jammies and watching church, but for me, it's better to. I felt like I missed it, so I'm happy. Was happy to be back Sunday, and we had no power, so I couldn't be here.
Which was so bizarre because it was like we were so ready to get back to church, and it was like we just got back from vacation, and Jim calls me at 8 in the morning. He's like, "Yeah, we got no power." It's like, oh boy. So well, we're glad that you're back at church. We're glad that you're not wearing your PJs. So that's obviously a good thing.
Two things to be grateful for there.
I heard, are people still wearing PJs to Walmart? I'm not sure if that's the.
I don't know.
I do.
So yeah, I think for us, we're trying to figure out, like, we've got a lot of people that are staying online, and so for the online experience, Jim, you help a lot of people out by like talking to people online, and if you're watching this, just so you know, if you do watch online, Jim is there, and sometimes you feel all alone because you keep asking for people to talk to you.
I do.
But
I, short of begging, I do. I kind of gently try to remind them that there are some people that I see numbers online. I see I've got 20 people online, but I only have got a response from 2 or 3, and I can't tell who the others are. So unless you send me a name to let me know that you're on there, I don't even know you. I know a number is with us, but I don't know who. And it's hard to communicate that way.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and just to touch real quickly on something Beth said, about the experience of being in person and being together with one another. I mean, we were just discussing that this morning at breakfast with our older group and the kid that comes in.
Yeah, I'm the little guy, the young guy.
They're
and I'm not that young.
yeah. When we talk about sports and the activities, because we're talking about high school sports and any kind of sports really, there is something about how those players respond to a crowd cheering and motivation and all of those things. Well, it's the same thing with God. And when we're all together in a room praising the Lord, it makes it's that emotional feeling and sense that you get when you hear the others around you praising with you. And that's a total difference than listening online when you're sitting by yourself.
Yeah.
It's good. It's I'll put it this way, better than nothing.
Yeah.
It is good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's not the relationship that I don't think that Christ is looking for.
Yeah. Are you, when you're like watching online, Beth, are you singing along?
Yeah, Steve and I will sing along. That, of course,
Oh, Steve
hampers the
Yikes.
feeling a little bit, so we can hear ourselves.
Did the
But
dogs go into another room?
yeah, Clementine slinks into the bedroom away from us so that she can't hear us. But no, we do usually.
Gotcha.
Sometimes we'll just kind of hum along. But then there's certain songs that we both like that you can't
don't.
help but just sing it because they're such uplifting or just great songs.
Yeah. I mean, but being there, watching it online, it's one thing. Like you said, Jim, I mean, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And which I'm grateful for everybody that's
Oh,
kind of
very much
helped
so, very much so.
make it as good
Yeah.
it is, as great as it is, for our experience online. But there is something about taking some steps to get back to church. And that's why, I mean, when I look at this verse, Hebrews 10:25 again, it says, let us not give up on meeting together. So, I mean, there is an aspect of really getting together, and sometimes it's going to have to take a risk, for people to get out their door. But I saw this even before COVID. I mean, while we may have had a whole lot more people coming in-house, we still had these same concerns. Where are people? Are they not attending church? Are we not doing something right? Is it that they don't like it? Or, what's going on? So we had these same questions. It's just now we have fewer people than we had before, and we have a pandemic going on that is also pushing people back to their homes as opposed to being out in public. But then I run into people in public, and for me, I don't know how to make sense of that. It's like I can go out into public, but I can't go to church. And I don't want to crank on anybody. I mean, I totally get it that these are choices and decisions we all have to make. I mean, my folks, they are very limited on getting out and stuff like that. So, but then, but they watch online faithfully, and they're very
and I got to be cautious because I'm on the world right now.
Yeah.
But and because I hear so many times in talking to other people about that topic, well, I only go out for essentials. Is Christ not essential?
Sure.
So I'm sorry.
Or the gathering
the
together
gathering of-
essential.
Is that not essential? I mean, is that, are you considering just food? Well, if you're considering food, I'm talking about this food.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get it too, and I agree with you 100%. I think we just talked about it this morning. You can look at an airport situation where you have people 6 feet apart, waiting to be checked in to go on an airplane so you can pack them in like sardines.
Yeah.
And there's two different strategies there. I don't get it, how you can do one and not the other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a commonplace of how do you accept one way of doing it in this location, but not in this location. So, and then say, well, it's because of the virus. I refuse to use the other word, because of the virus. So it's just I think it's just the ideology of what you're feeling with, because you're absolutely correct. It's always choice. No matter what we do in life, we talked about that in the elections and everything else. It's always choice. So we can't harp against it. It's just like it'd be us, beating up those non-believers because they don't believe. Well, that's not the way to approach it, and we can't do that in the people that made a decision not to show up at church at the moment.
Yeah.
So we're not here to harp on anybody. We're just here to try to help ourselves understand if there's anything I think that we can do to help them.
Yeah. Well, so, and again, just so you all know, this is just an unfiltered, conversation, because a lot of times on Sunday it's a lot more filtered, and that's what these are for, is for us to be able to have candid conversations. And by the way, we do around the table, and that's why we wanted you to be a part of it. So that you can have these conversations. So just to reiterate, we've got about 15 more minutes that we're going to be on together here this morning. But you are welcome to join us on Wednesday mornings. We're going to gather together around the table. And what we want to do is we want to build a connection to those that are watching online, because they need somebody to connect with, and they need to have conversation. Can we exist, or can we continue to exist online and not have conversation with each other? I mean, or are we going to have to find a way that we talk to each other somehow?
My wife would love that at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had microphones from different rooms. Love you, honey.
So we have a comment on here that says, when you're watching online, you can't hear anyone else, you can't see anyone else but the stage. So we need each other. We need to be in person with each other. We need to be able to see each other and be with each other. Yeah,
and now so people know, we do not broadcast the people in the sanctuary for privacy issues, and they didn't come to be put on online. Those that are on stage know that they're online. But we've had the question, I think, at our last business meeting, was what about those who are, if we're watching, can we see the people here, and maybe from the back side, but then you're not really seeing who's here. Right. Because they didn't really sign a waiver to say, hey, you can show my face online, and so we try to respect that. But you're right, we need to see each other, hear each other, because it's a different experience. So when you were at home worshiping, you still experienced God, walked with the Lord, and you were with your husband. But it's a very different feeling than when you got here.
It's very different because, for us, we sit right here in the second row. So there's very few distractions when I'm sitting that close and, watching my boss preach. Kind of make sure that, I keep him straight. But, yeah,
and we appreciate that too.
Right. At home, the dog walks by, and it's like, oh, does she have to go to the bathroom? Do I need to get up and let her out? Or I'm thirsty, I'm going to go get a drink, or, other thoughts just get in your head.
Yeah.
If I, was thirsty, or if I felt like I wanted to use the restroom, I wouldn't get up in the middle of your sermon and do that.
If you were here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would at home.
Yeah.
That's why we wear diapers.
That's why you wear diapers.
It all depends.
Oh, you're too good. You're too good. So the experience is very different, and I get this a lot from people watching online, almost wanting us to tailor it to be a better experience for people online. And I get that. I get that absolutely. What we do is try to give them the experience here. If you're in-house, we want you to get that experience online. Now, we see the metrics, and when people start joining in and watching the services on the weekend, we see what's going on, and Jim sees that too, where the numbers will start to climb the closer we get to the sermon, and I think that I mean, how much is so it says about gathering, but how much is music, singing together? How important is that in our lives?
I think, going back to what Beth had something to say about singing at home, I know that I actually, and I shouldn't be this way, but I actually get a sense of almost even more nervous of trying to sing along at home than I am letting everybody hear my voice here. I don't know why that is, but I just, because you said it, because now I can actually hear nothing but my voice.
Right.
You know, and so then it's just totally different. You're not worshiping with, you're not joining into. Yeah, I can hear the musicians and stuff online, but it's not the same. It's just not. It's not that. It's not having that other person next to you or around you that you can hear it, the actual angelic voices joining in. You know, because I call them angelical because if you ever heard mine, you'd know. So it's just that kind of a feeling that I think we're missing. And the worship though is vital. I mean, I'm sorry. Worship is there. Well, we should prepare ourselves long before we ever come to church, knowing that we're coming for that purpose. But even sometimes when it's that hurry up, I got to get there. We're running late. The kids were late, or somebody was late, and now we're rushing through the doors at the last second. The worship is for you to enter into a place that you are ready and willing to listen and open your heart and your mind to receive the message of God.
Yeah.
And that's what the worship is for.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. And I think sometimes at home we miss that because good, it's starting. So the announcements are being played, or the prelim, the 15 minutes. You know, so they got their phones on, or the computers on, or the TVs on, and it's playing. But like Beth says, I'm distracted doing other things at the moment, finishing up my breakfast so it can be ready.
Yeah.
So I can sit down and watch the sermon. And the worship's playing, so I'm dancing around in the house doing my thing.
Yeah.
While I'm listening to it, just like listening to a regular radio station and listening to a song being played. You know?
Yeah. Just background.
Yeah. It's just background music to you at that time.
Yeah.
Where it should be a worship at that time.
Yeah.
And I think the atmosphere changes that.
Well, and if you're here, it puts you in a position that I need to either join the crowd, which is in worship, or I could just, like you said, I could be easily distracted and really not engage in singing praise to the Lord. And I know that worship isn't just in singing, but it seems that even in Revelation it talks about, like, in heaven. It's okay, you can cough. It's all right. Oh, you're burping. Okay.
Thanks for hiding that.
So usually I'm up going to the bathroom at this point, but we're hanging in there. So thanks for not making a joke about that, guys.
trying to be good for our first round table.
So, but I know worship isn't just singing, but in Revelation, which we talked about before Christmas series, that they were singing his praise in heaven when Jesus came in to get the scroll. They were singing, and then all of creation were singing. And there is something about singing. I don't know, Hayden, you seem to get pretty fired up about singing.
Oh, absolutely. So I may be a little bit biased here because I'm on the worship team, but I think that our worship team here is absolutely awesome. Like,
yes, absolutely.
I agree.
Not just not talking about skill, but just our ability to lead our congregation in worship to a place where we're just in a position to surrender ourselves to God and then have Rustin take over. Yeah. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I've used this example at youth group before because it's, to me, I'm very passionate about worship. So like when we're playing the song Raise a Hallelujah, and like we start off really soft and we go into the first chorus and the first verse and the first chorus, but then after the first chorus we come in and we hit that like a rock. And then we're just pounding, and then like you hear Doug Bates going, woo! Like the typical, and I mean, and everyone is just fired up at that point. It is like that, and it's not due to the skill of the worship team, but it's the Holy Spirit in here and just taking over everyone. And I don't think that can be replicated at your home.
Yeah, online. Going through online, you miss something.
Because like you guys said, I know, when we were quarantined and having to watch it online, it was background, because it's just like, for me, I have to be there. It's just so important for me to be able to be there in person and worship and just and be a part of the congregation and just everything. So
So someone's commented that says Brighton feels normal, and it's the only normal thing right now out of many surrounding churches. There's no pressure of the mandates. You don't have to feel pinned. There's freedom and choice, which is so important.
No one's texting me, so they
Well,
must be.
Just commenting.
Oh, it's commenting? Oh,
Yes.
okay, I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was
Some
like,
of us are
wow,
watching
they
the-
all like to talk to you.
Some of- well,
Well, they're nice. Be nice.
going back to what you were saying, there's another comment that says, if I can go to work, I can go to church.
So it's really hard. Okay, so we got 5 more minutes here before we wrap things up. And again, if you're tuning in and watching or listening, and maybe you're doing like stuff at home and you're like
Maybe this
listening
is
to
background
us,
noise.
and this
More
is background
background
noise. So our point is every Wednesday we want to gather and build a connection with our online community and those that are actually that do make it in house. So, but we're really trying to give an opportunity for those that are online that maybe haven't gotten to the point where they can get through the doors again. Just an opportunity to connect. So okay, we have talked about this. We don't ever want people that are fearful, those that are just worried about going out, to feel shamed or embarrassed about not being in house. You are still part of Brighton Chapel if you are not in house.
Amen.
I mean, that's clear. But how do we? What can we do to encourage them? And that's why we need you. We need your thoughts. We need your perspective. We need your help. And so maybe coming to a Wednesday morning, you can join us in the round table. You don't have to just watch. You can come in every Wednesday with us and just sit down and we'll all just talk. We'll get mics and we'll have a conversation with. And so building connection with each other. So how do we help people that are online feel secure that we love them, but also how do we encourage them at some point? They're going to have to take some steps. They're going to have to take some steps to get back out. And that's what we're hoping in 2021 is that people will get back into some sense of normalcy. You know, like I don't want to say we're a normal church because we're very abnormal people. But we're grateful.
Especially some of us.
So how do we help encourage people in their pace to be able to get back into the building? They're afraid. They've got some worries that they might pick up COVID here. They might have some fears that that somebody's going to get too close. What do you say to them, or how do we encourage them along this journey for this new year? Because he's saying we got to do this together. That's an online and in-person community, but being in person is very different. So how do we help people, encourage people take some baby steps this year?
You asking me?
Sure.
I thought you was just.
No, I'm just asking it generally.
Well, I think because it's going to end here quickly, but I think what we're after is the opinions of those out there that have that concern, because we're blue in the face about this and go round and round trying to make those conclusions and decisions of what we need to do and how we can approach it. The church gets cleaned 2 or 3 times a week with a fogger sprayer, and then it gets cleaned out. After every event, it gets cleaned, and so on and so forth. So I think we're taking every precaution every place else would take, as a Walmart or the grocery store or your workplace, probably more so than your workplace, or Walmart or the grocery store if you really think about it, because everybody's touching everything and grabbing everything. And so I think we take all the precautions necessary to make it in-house as clean as possible for anything that may have entered in.
What about social distance and masks?
Well, you have the right. I mean, you want to wear a mask when you come in, that's wonderful. We have many.
I wear a mask when I'm here.
We have few that do, and we don't shun them away and hide from them. I go up and talk to them.
Yeah.
There's not a mask wearing section and a non-mask wearing section.
Yeah. So we're not like, hey, everybody, look at this person wearing a mask. It's like that's not
shame.
Yeah, and that's we don't do that. I think some people are afraid that they're being looked at as, because there's a few people that wear a mask, not the overwhelming
majority don't.
So while we are very open and welcoming to all of them, we're just saying we would love for you to be here. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to socially distant, you can do that, and we will respect that and honor that, and then try to keep it clean with the fogger and everything.
And I think some people would really enjoy if I would wear a mask.
And honestly, I think that it's awesome that people do wear masks too, because it does show, like Chelsea had commented, like we give the choice. It's not our place to mandate that, like, I mean, we're going to follow the restrictions put in place by our leaders, obviously, and we are doing so. But freedom of choice is really important, and that's what I feel like we are, doing right. Is just, not that any other way is wrong per se, but just, the freedom of choice, for mask and social distancing, because there are people like, I saw that Dwight Coffin had just said, a little while ago, that he said, he prefers to come up, shake people's hands and then give them a hug. And it's like, if that's the risk that you want to take, that's your choice. And,
I'll hug you, Dwight.
Yeah.
Well, it looks